Hey everybody, this is Richard Rowland. I'm a data analyst, Germanic philologist, poet, dad, and as of this week, I'm the author for Amboria, Roleplaying in the World Under Starlight, which has just successfully funded. We needed $14,000 for our initial funding. You crazy people, managed to bring it in at a little over 43,000. So first of all, just thank you to everyone who backed the project. If you didn't back the project, don't worry, there will be opportunities for you to buy the books once they hit the shelves. But actually today I mostly just wanted to talk to you to say thank you and to share a couple of things about the world under Starlight for people who are interested in it. So as you can tell, probably I'm a little tired, and to be totally honest, I had some technical difficulties, so I'm not using my normal microphone setup. My audio is not as good as I would like it to be, but I just wanted to say thank you and once again just give a little something to the community who's making these books happen. So there'll be a Kickstarter update going out later this evening if it hasn't already gone out, with a thank you in it and a little Easter egg, like a little sneak preview. I've got a lot of Amboria stuff written. Most of it will never see the light of day because I've been working on this world for over 20 years, and as most of you know, if you've been paying attention to any of the videos or interviews I've done about my creative process, I write things over and over and over again. I rewrite almost obsessively, and so the early drafts of things are not always great. And what I tend to do is to use the early drafts as basically older versions, older layers in the text, older layers of legends, etc. But the actual text themselves usually won't see the light of day because something I wrote 20 years ago when I was in my teens, I was, sometimes pretty lonely and angsty as a teenager, if you can imagine such a thing. But so things I wrote then certainly wouldn't be something most people would enjoy reading now. But I obsessively keep and archive everything. So I've got it all. In fact, over here to my left, a couple of shelves down, I have shelves of notebooks which are full of mostly just Amboria stuff. And I fill up a notebook about every 6 months. And they're all on the shelves, those two shelves right there, and that's it. So, but I thought what I would do today, just as a thank you to everybody who backed this project, who has shown some trust and some interest and everything else in this weird kind of secret world that I've been sharing with my basically just close friends and family over the last several years. I thought you guys would enjoy a little peek behind the curtains. So this is the very first thing that I ever wrote for the world under Starlight. I wrote this in a spiral-bound notebook, which is, which is right here, right? This is where it all started, this Mead 5-star spiral notebook. Man. There's actually a bunch of crazy stories in here as well. A bunch of neat superhero stories that I wrote, which will also never see the light of day. But sometimes, if you come over to my house and gets around 10:30, 11 at night, sometimes I like to pull old things out and read them. But anyway, okay. So this is the first thing that I ever wrote for the world under Starlight. A series of images and people and legends and myths which came to me almost like in a dream. And I wrote this down in the spiral notebook a little more than 20 years ago. Long ago, before the years of the first aeon had yet begun to be reckoned, the people of the water awoke upon the northwestern shore of the great inland sea of Quadran. To them the Creator gave the gift of language, and so they began to give names to things. They called themselves the Amborians, which signifies water people, and from the first they were unified as one people. They found many precious things in the water, from pearls and diamonds hidden in the deep to a plant called amseth, from which they made bread and wine. But the most precious thing that they found was the ice-blue crystal that could shine with its own light. They called it hurpalb. Hurpalb could be made into many things. The most precious of them was a metal, both light and strong, that would burn with a fervent light if any evil were near. So that's the first thing, and obviously it's not great. It's got some rough parts to it, and there's quite a a lot more depth to the world and the world building. I hope actually that I don't sour anybody on Amboria by reading this, right? But my point is, it's been 20 years. We've come a long way since then, and during all of these years, my dear wife Sophia has been the primary audience for Amboria, along with another few of my family and friends. Actually, my sister Grace would like me to mention, I'm sure, that she was actually probably the very first person who knew about it. Actually, she's still the possessor of some of the handmade cards for an Amboria card game that I made when I was a teenager, and pretty sure she's the only one that still has pieces of that. And then, I think it was February of 2018, I opened up this private world, this secret vice of mine, as Tolkien would say, to a small circle of close friends for the very first Amboria tabletop game, which became the campaign that you are going to be reading if you backed at the levels to get the campaign that you're going to be reading as Thunder in the North. And then 5 years later, the good people of Strange Owl Games have given me the opportunity to share this world with you. Your response has been overwhelming. It's been humbling. It's been a little terrifying at times, just because it's, it just feels like a lot to take something that's been so deeply private and put it out there and share it with other people. I wish I could show I said this in the update, but I wish I could show this Kickstarter to the lonely teenager just writing all the stuff in notebooks, and actually you guys should know I write everything, including the rules of the game. I write everything out longhand first, and so I just have shelves of notebooks. This is one of the things that's taken the longest with Thunder in the North, is that all the primary writing for the book has been done, but actually a lot of it needs to be digitized. I'm kind of a Luddite when it comes to this stuff. And so this is what I've been working on, and this is what I'll be working on the next week and a half or so, is to finish digitizing all the Thunder in the North stuff and kind of arranging it. But it's all written. Anyway, so just all that to say, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I cannot thank you all enough. This has just been incredible. So I have a lot of work to do. I want to give you guys an idea of what to expect over the next couple of days. Kickstarter is going to be processing your payments. This may take a couple of days. And then also we're going to be preparing the PDF drafts of Amboria, Roleplaying in the World Under Starlight, which is our core rules and setting book. And then also Thunder in the North, a grand campaign in the world under Starlight. This is the campaign book. It also has just a lot of really cool setting stuff in it. Even if you get it, you should run it, because that's what it's made for. But I think there's just going to be tons of cool stuff in there, even if you never get to run the campaign. So you can expect to receive these sometime soon. We've had a couple of, I won't call them snags, but there have been some things happening on the back end that you may not know about. So John Matthew DeFoge, who's our line editor, recently had a major health crisis. And thank God he is at home and he's recovering. But, you guys have no idea how much work he was doing to make this Kickstarter happen on the back end. And then, suddenly he wasn't able to work on it because he just had to focus on his health. And so, the rest of us have been kind of trying as best we can to fill in for him. But so anyway, just bear with us. It may be like a week or two before you get your PDF drafts, but we're going to make sure it happens. And then also, like I said, I'm still digitizing Thunder in the North. So then third, I'm going to be reaching out to people who backed at the Hero Errant level. So Hero Errant 1, and then we opened up a second tier of it, Hero Errant 2. There were 40 people. 40 people who backed at this level. Usually, if somebody backs at this level, it's just 2 or 3 people. I've never seen 40 people on a Kickstarter back at this level. I'm incredibly excited, humbled, but mostly just excited about this because if you back to this level, you get to play a game with me. And what a lot of people would do in the circumstance probably would be something like you run the same one-shot for a bunch of different groups. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something incredibly crazy and probably way too time-consuming, but I don't care because I want to do it. And that is, as you probably know, we are going to basically run these. So there are 40 people and there are sessions of 4 to 5 people each. So that means that we're going to have somewhere between 8 and 10 sessions. And what I'm going to try to do is to, even though these are sort of one-shots, I'm going to link them all together into and turn it into a sort of anthology campaign that will actually be playing out a civil war in the world under Starlight, set just after the events of Thunder in the North. And that civil war will be called the Midnight War. And, you know, maybe sometime next year, around this same time, there might be a Kickstarter for Amboria, the Midnight War. So we'll see what happens. But, yeah, so I'm going to run that for you guys. So I'm going to be reaching out to you with a list of, like, available session times to choose from, as well as other information like how we're going to handle character creation. I'm probably going to make a bunch of pre-gens or get some people to help me make a bunch of pre-gens so everybody can pick from one that might be simplest, but also maybe people want to make their own characters. So I'm going to try to figure out a way to make that all work out. So you'll be hearing from me soon. I'm going to have to get this organized. It's my first time doing something like this at this scale. So just give me a minute, but I'm really excited with playing with all of you over the summer. And my hope is that as we play these games, that we'll be able to record them and then also put them on YouTube. So on YouTube already, there's a prologue to the Midnight War. So actually, if you backed at that level, you should definitely go watch that because it'll give you a good sense of what you're in for, the kind of game this is going to be. It's going to be a lot of weird magic, a lot of like espionage and spy stuff and cloak and dagger. And different groups are actually going to be working for different factions, which should be really neat. And it'll be neat to see how it all comes together in the end. So, that said, stay tuned. You'll probably get a scheduling email from me sometime within the next week. So, yeah. All right, so I want to read something for you guys. Somebody on Twitter asked if we were going to be doing a poem, if I could release the text of another poem just as a teaser. So I'll work with the Kickstarter folks on getting the text for this out. Might be a day or two just because we have a lot of things we're trying to get out to you right now, but I'm going to read another first for you. So I read like the very first bit of Amboria, right, which sort of came to me, and at the time I didn't actually know who the Ambori were. Why were they here? All these different things. These are things that came to me later. And but one of the earliest and most important myths that really came to me as part of this answer to who these people were and why they were here, and it's also the whole genesis of like the whole religion of the sacred wells, which is so crucial to the setting now, is what's called the first song, or the Elder Lay of Orusena. This is the legend of Orusen, the slaying of the serpent, the great sort of chaos kampf at the beginning of Amborian myth and legend. And it's probably like the single most important like liturgical work, poem, etc., whatever you want to call it. So it's a little long. It's about 222 lines, but I'm just going to read it to you. And keep in mind, I'm doing this. You can probably see from the way that I'm squinting at the camera, it's been a long day. I haven't had a lot of sleep lately. So this is just going to be what it is. But I hope that you enjoy this. I hope it gives you a good taste for the setting and the story. I'm not going to explain too many things about it, but there will be an annotated version of this coming out in the add-on PDF, the Book of Odes. So if you want to add that on to your Kickstarter pledge, then you can get an annotated version of this that actually has all the allusions explained. And I've tried to do that. This is already done, by the way. I've tried to do it from the perspective of, like, if it's your first time reading Amborian literature, so all of the references are explained. So, all right. The first part of this is just called a preamble. It's about 17 or so lines, and it is considered like every cleansing of the water. So the evening service, like the evening service each day at the sacred wells, begins with this preamble. So here it goes. Under starlight, under cedar, high upon the highest hilltop, on the shores of ancient waters, Orusena found the serpent, found the last and dying Stone King. There a spring from unseen caverns babbled, heedless of the danger. First of all the many waters, first and eldest, cold and purest, There the cool, infertile dust heap first was riven, when the footstep of the one whose music made it pierced the world, brought forth all waters. Water, blood of earth and children, changes dust to living soil, carries grace of heaven's rulers to the blooming plains and valleys. This moves us on to the next section, and the first proper section. And by the way, there's actually a really important bit of Amborian cosmology which I have largely slept on, as in haven't really made it known very much. But an important part of the Amborian creation myth is contained there in those first few stanzas. So take a look at that whenever you get the text. So this next part has to do with these Stone Kings, who are very important to the setting. The Stone Kings are a civilization that predated the Amboria. They're called the Stone Kings not because they were made out of stone, but because of the great looming stone edifices which they left, which are almost the only remnant of them as a people, and which are not always in the same place. So this has to do with the last of the Stone Kings being the one who passed on the religion of the sacred wells to the Amboria. The first of waters, Orusena, found were guarded by the serpent. She had stung the last of Stone Kings with a venom born of hatred for the lands which look on heaven. All the lands which look on heaven, all who greedy drink the starlight, long denied to serpent people, soon shall taste of bitter waters, shall be born to death's dark kingdom. Born into death's dark kingdom, all the world shall know our power, then the starlight on the water. None shall know but serpent people, none shall read the doom of heaven. I have read the doom of heaven. So the last of Stone Kings dying said unto the crafty serpent, there beside the ancient waters, he, the last of all his people. I, the last of all my people, I have read the writ of heaven. It does not spell the rise of serpents. Ancient peoples all are ending, serpents, Stone Kings, folk of Starland. Serpents, Stone Kings, folk of Starland, shattered too the realm of giants. Now new peoples rise to conquer, people born of sky and water, kin of him with brazen spear-tip. When the sons of Orusena wed the folk of ancient Starland, then their children, mighty offspring, will keep the oath of earth and heaven. I am the last of Stone Kings. And there's a note here in the poem. It says, here and elsewhere, when the name of the last of the Stone Kings would be spoken, an acolyte rings the gong twice with the hammer. If no acolyte is serving with the priestess rings the net. This is a liturgical net that's used in the service, twice against the lip of the well. So this is a sort of a nomina sacra. The name is known. It's taught to the priestesses as part of their initiation, but it's never spoken aloud. Perish, last of Stone Kings, said the serpent, long and yellow, coiled round the knees of Cyprus. Orusena, knowing nothing, struck her with his brazen spearhead. Struck her with his brazen spearhead, knowing not the feud of peoples, serpent folk against the Stone Kings, but he heard the doom the Stone King read amid the stars of heaven. Writ amid the stars of heaven, the rise of Orusena's offspring, one star shining like a diamond, flaming out amid the darkness, hated by the hosts of Orkon. This brings us into the next section, known as the threat of the serpent. This the doom the Stone King uttered. Orusena's spear shaft quivered, sparks flew from the serpent's armor, the point was turned, the brass was blunted, for serpents' hides are hard as iron. The serpent's hide was hard as iron. Her eyes were burning with desire. Never shall the serpent people bow the knee, go back to darkness, not before the water's children. Then she struck the water's child, struck at mighty Orusena, Far that warrior led his people, far, through many snares and perils, none so lethal as the serpent. None so lethal as the serpent. She bore venom, old and hateful, brewed in caverns deep and lightless, where the starlight never reaches, never, till the world is ended. Oru Senna, skilled in combat, shrank in horror at the venom. No coward was the children's father, sire of Swanfoot Alyetalia, but he faced no common foeman. "Lord, you face no common foeman!" So Hasanya, Swanfoot's mother, cried to him beside the waters. There the venom flowed most swiftly. Swiftly Stone King reached his hand in. Swift the Stone King put his hand in, caught the poison, curled the waters, cured the waters. Oru Senna leapt up swiftly, thrust again the brazen spear shaft. Up the sparks flew like an anvil. Up the sparks flew like an anvil, stricken by the heavy hammer of the crafty-minded blacksmith. No spear forged in southern mountains, serpent's hide could pierce or shatter. The serpent arched its back and vented, spewing poison on the greensward. 7 days, and I will end this. When my venom slays the Stone King, then I come to claim the waters. The Oath of the Stone King. The serpent left the running waters, waters where the world's first waking sprung, when Nan Kainella stepped there. In that day the mighty Stone Kings loomed above the world like giants. Lying like a fallen giant, last of Stone Kings took the venom which the serpent's jaws had spewed out. All this hurts upon this quadran I will bear, so you may conquer. You will bear, so we may conquer? How? When might of brazen spear tip cannot pierce the serpent's armor, hard scales fashion, close as fish scales. This the plea of Oru Senna. He heard the plea of Oru Senna, last of Stone Kings, full of venom, eldest king of elder people, those who keep the oaths of heaven which in elder days they witnessed. He heard the plea of Oru Senna, said aloud these staves in answer. Look, your queen has found a weapon which the runes of deadly serpent cannot turn, like baser metals. No base metal, said Hasanya, is the weapon I have found you. With the prayers of all your people and the love I freely give you, you will slay the serpent woman. He looked upon her, Oru Senna, on the queenly fair Hasanya. In her hand, like gem of amber, she held a scale which from the serpent had fallen in the bitter conflict. Fallen from the bitter battle, like a leaf the storm has shaken. From the bough of mighty oak tree, the scale was shining like a diamond in the hands of fair Hasanya. From the hands of fair Hasanya, Oru Senna took the snake scale, took it, and for 7 mornings forged anew his deadly spearhead, while the Stone King lay there dying. While the Stone King lay there dying, fair Hasanya stood beside him. She learned from him the names of waters, how the heavens shone with diamonds before the southern sky was darkened. Before the southern sky was darkened, long before the hosts of Orkhan waged long war upon the children, the Stone Kings tended ancient waters, kept the oaths of earth and heaven. This the oath of earth and heaven. So the Stone King told Hasanya. Water holds the shape of starlight, starlight which the world remembers. Memory keeps the song from dying. Memory keeps the song from dying, which the Maker sang aforetime, on the day when first the heavens sang for joy to know their beauty, and the bounding ram beneath them. We keep the oaths of earth and heaven. Water keeps the shape of starlight. Water, starlight, earth, and heaven, keep them pure, keep back the shadows, hungry things consumed with hatred. Hungry things consumed with hatred seek to know what I have taught you. Guard these secrets, do not write them in such books as men have written. Stone King's books are ever guarded. There is a lot of important things happening here in terms of Amborian cosmology, but also the sort of for lack of a better term, like the sacramental system of the world under Starlight, which has to do with the relationship between Starlight and water, and the role of created people, human beings, as far as mediating that, stewarding it, cleansing it. And so this sets up the basic Amborian system, which is that there are two priestly roles. There is the role of the king and the role of the queen. It is the role of the king to keep the waters purged by keeping the enemies at bay. And it is the role of the queen and those that sort of, by extension, the priestesses, to cleanse the waters each day and remember the names of things, the oaths. And so these are the kind of the two roles of the king and queen. It was always very important to me, especially when I was trying to, some of the stuff as an author. Anybody who's trying to write this kind of thing will understand that you don't always have control over what you write. Just sometimes things just are the way they are, and you can't do anything about it. But it was always important to me that we shouldn't just ape Christianity, right? Or try to recreate Christianity, because first of all, Christianity is awesome, and why recreate it? But rather I wanted to reveal certain things about the world, about the real world, about our world, about the sacramental shape of our world, about actually what it means to be male and female. I wanted to kind of reveal some of those things through the veil of the fantasy setting, let's say. So some of that is what is going on here. There's a lot of things that I've never talked about, or very rarely talk about or explain. I don't like explaining things. I would really just prefer people read the poetry, but anyway, so that's a little bit about that. The other thing that I want to mention here, because it's very important to the Thunder in the North, is the meaning. And it's actually a fairly cryptic thing. There's some footnotes about it in the version of this that'll be published, but the meaning of the phrase "Stone King's books are ever guarded." What books did the Stone Kings keep? So we'll leave that for now, but that's something a little mystery for you to investigate when the books come out. So this brings us into the final section of the story, which is Orusena's slaying of the serpent. Orusena raised a spear shaft, raised it when the vile serpent had returned, and the Stone King in a mighty tomb of granite lay beneath the stars forgotten. The stars forgotten, by the way, are the missing constellations. Why are those in the tomb? It's another fun mystery. Orusena took the spear shaft, tipped with bronze, the serpent's garment, thrust above the shining waters, while the serpent jeered and mocked him. The serpent's jaws were filled with poison. So the serpent jeered and mocked him. "Race of Stone Kings, mighty ancient, could not stand against our venom. They have all forsaken Starlight. All lie now entombed in darkness. All lie now entombed in darkness. All will follow, kin of mankind, till the whole world, cold and lifeless, hears no more the song of Maker, and the seas forget the starlight." But Orusena's spear tip quivered, pierced the serpent's armor. The deadly wound, a yellow venom, spewed and withered all the hillside. The serpent screamed, and dying cursed him. The serpent's curse by death was broken. The serpent's armor was her downfall. And there beside the first of waters fair Hassania sang her office, kept the oaths the Stone Kings taught her. Orusena, first of fathers, slew the serpent, cleansed the waters, kept the oaths the Stone Kings taught him, when he led the water's children to the high and holy hilltop. So that's the Elder Lay of Orusen. It is also the very first song of the Book of Odes. It's the first ode, etc. It is almost completely unedited. I've made a few changes to fix problematic lines in the poetry and things like that, but it is one of those stories which, as soon as it appeared on the page, became unalterable, right? And there are many things like that in this Legendarium, and I'm very excited to share it with all of you. So that's a little taste of what you can expect. If you were on the fence about getting the add-on, I almost sort of consider it like indispensable for actually running the world under Starlight as it's intended to be run. So there will be some of the stuff in, there will be excerpts of the Odes in Thunder in the North for GMs or lore masters who want to run the campaign. But if you actually just want the Odes themselves, you can get that as a PDF add-on. And sometime later this year or next year, also as a very nicely bound hardback book from Darkly Bright Press. But just keep an eye out. I'll let you know when that comes out. So a lot of cool things going on. I need to probably cut this short because I have a lot of writing to do. But guys, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm very excited to tell stories, to write this game for you, to play this game with you, and to just, like, let's talk about Amboria. There's, we'll probably have some news about, like, a Discord server and all that stuff coming out soon. So, just hang tight. But until then, thanks, everyone.